Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Cracking Fitness. On today's episode, we have Dr. Nick. This was such a fun conversation. I'm not going to give him a huge intro here because he gets into his past and his present in the podcast, but I had such a fun time talking with him. We touch on many different subjects. I feel like the meat of the conversation had a lot to do with mentality and intermittent fasting. I'll be honest, I got a little bit inspired to start intermittent fasting. So the next day, as soon as we had talked, I gave myself a window and I went into it. And I feel really good today. I've done intermittent fasting in the past, but I've always had that little thought in my mind of I need to eat food around my workout. And talking with Dr. Nick maybe got me a little bit past that. And so I'm going to give intermittent fasting another go. You should go check him out. Check him out on Instagram. Also, go check out his Steady MD page. He's a physician for Steady MD. It's a really cool company. Go check him out. And also, you can just listen to the podcast and get a little bit more. But if you guys like today's episode, please hop over to iTunes, give it a really good review, and have a great day.
Bringing health, wellness, and fitness ideas right to your speakers with your host, Tyler Martin, learning from experts and average Joes alike. This is the Cracking Fitness Podcast.
All right, Dr. Nick, I really appreciate coming on the podcast and chatting.
Yeah, hey, I appreciate the invite and I've definitely been looking to our conversation. I've been looking forward to our conversation.
That's perfect. So I've been following you for a little while on social media, and I think what first kind of drew me to you is just your tagline, "The Fittest Doc," which I know we just chatted a little bit about. And second, you're just freaking jacked, man.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, no, the tagline, "The Fittest Doc." I think it's funny because there have been some people who have reached out to me, and I think it just kind of is very illustrative of how people's perceptions are colored by their experiences. But some people reach out to me and they're like, "Oh, that's a cocky username," and I'm like, what? And then I sit back and I'm like trying to think, wait, why would they say that? And it makes me wonder because when I thought of it, when I kind of was like, "Oh, I want to change my name to this," it was because I feel that every human being, whether you're a doctor, a firefighter, a paramedic, a nurse, you should always be seeking the best version of yourself. You should always be aspiring for better. There is, at least in my opinion, there's no such thing as constant. There's no such thing as, I went to bed last night and I woke up and I'm the exact same. No, in reality, depending on the work ethic that you have, in the gym, at work, at school, you're either a little bit better or a little bit worse. There's no such thing as constant. So in my mind, the fittest doc is just me aspiring to be the fittest doctor that I can be. And if somebody else wants to, if other people want to interpret it in another way, in my mind, I'm like, look, if we're talking about the fittest doc objectively, Julie Fouché has that title, and I don't think anyone can take it away from her. So
yeah. No, I like that. You could say the fittest Nick, but you're a doctor. So therefore, I totally understand that. And I get it. And I like that. So just tell us all about yourself.
Okay. So, so my name's, Nick. Some people call me Nicholas. Other people call me Chi-Chi. I'm a physician. I'm a physician here in Illinois. I'm moving soon. And we'll be, I'll actually have 2 jobs in a couple months here, where I'll be a physician kind of centered in Denver, Colorado. I will also be able to see patients all around the United States as a physician for steadymd.com.
Cool.
So, that is, some people have heard of this, others haven't, but it's a segment, it's called telemedicine. So it essentially facilitates a doctor seeing patients for very specific complaints that are not optimally, but can be seen through kind of this medium, right? Through either a phone call or a text or kind of video chat. So yeah, it's very specific complaints, but the fact of the matter is that um, it's taken off. There are a lot of patients who prefer to see their doctors with telemedicine. So I'm really excited to be working with SteadyMD. Plus, given the type of physician that I am, who is one who kind of likes to make impactful changes on my patients' lives, SteadyMD facilitates that. Our appointments can be up to an hour long with a patient on SteadyMD. So as opposed to rushing them into and out of the patient room and kind of glossing over and finding out what the true issue is that could potentially prevent you from having to prescribe medications and fixing the fundamental issue at hand. This kind of facilitates a longer conversation, so I enjoy it. Kind of going back, so I went to, I if you want to know, just kind of, so I was raised in Lansing, Michigan. I went to high school, Everett High School. My kind of athletic background at Everett was, I did Taekwondo, got my black belt all through high school, did 4 years of martial arts, graduated, started attending Michigan State University with a pursuit of in mechanical engineering. So finished that, finished the mechanical engineering stuff, graduated, and turned around and, not decided, but essentially went to med school. I had always wanted to go to med school. And thankfully, you can go to medical school being a art history major, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So during my time in engineering, I kind of started, doing some other martial arts and tapered the Taekwondo, judo, jujitsu, and then started doing Krav Maga when I was in medical school. And Krav Maga is actually how I got into CrossFit. So I started at this gym in Ohio called Ohio Krav Maga and Fitness. And, as kind of my 1 hour break from med school, just kicking my butt every day, I would go there and I would train, and I love Krav. And, it's, to be honest, at this point, it's my favorite martial art and definitely the one that I want to get back into. But every day at the end of Krav, there were some guys at the end of the gym who would see me and, whatever, I guess they assumed, look at this guy, he would be great at CrossFit. So they kept trying to like almost bully me into CrossFit. Like, hey man, what are you doing? Come over here. And I laughed at them every time. And I was like, you're insane. I see you guys, 3, 2, 1, go. The workout starts 10, 15 minutes later. Every single one of you is on the ground, gasping for air, dying. Like, why would I want to do that to myself? And, so kept training in Krav, never did CrossFit. Month, 2 months, 3 months go by, and they get me to try CrossFit once. And at this point, I assumed, like most people who have done martial arts for a while, I'm like, yeah, I'm fit. Like this isn't going to crush me. Destroyed me. Ended up on the ground, staring at the ceiling, questioning my life, questioning my choices, everything. So at that point, I was like, okay, all right, well, this tells me a lot. Like, I obviously enjoy doing this, even though it hurts so much, but it's almost like it hurts so good. But I also enjoy Krav Maga. But the limiter there, the main constraint was med school, right? I'm not going to take 2 hours out of my day every day to work out. I'm not going to do that. Med school is a lot of, every med student can agree with this, but it's a lot of 14, 16-hour days of just studying like back to back, hoping and praying that you can survive and you can make it through. So at that point, I picked one, and I was like, okay, well, the benefit of CrossFit is that as opposed to Krav Maga just helping me with my fighting ability and maybe endurance, CrossFit will help me from kind of the 10 pillars of fitness, right? From strength, endurance, to stamina, to flex or mobility, to every other element. So in my mind, I was like, okay, you got to pick one, pick CrossFit, finish med school, finish residency. When you're done with that, you can get back into Krav Maga. You can get back into martial arts. So Yeah, that's kind of my athletic background. I skipped over a whole bunch of years when I was younger, when I played soccer. I say often that soccer is my first love, and it truly is. I love that game. I'm even the way I'm built. I'm built like a sprinter. I'm not even now. How many years into CrossFit? I hate long distance running. Hey, Nick, go run 2-3 miles. When that comes up in CrossFit, I'm like, oh, I hate this. Why did I choose to come today? But I love sprinting. You put me on a track and 200-meter sprint, 400-meter sprint. I'm all about that, and that I think comes from the soccer background, and the I played offense in soccer, so that was definitely my first love. So yeah, I think I just about covered it, unless you want to know anything else.
No, I like that. That's awesome. So huge athletic background, which is important because that kind of brings you to where you are today. And you say sprinter. One of the things that pops into my head is, and I'm not an expert on different types of muscle, but fast twitch. It's probably why you snatch like an animal and can clean and jerk. And those strength workouts are a little more exciting than the long distance stuff.
Sure. Yeah. I love power. Well, I was going to say powerlifting, but as you probably know, powerlifting is technically squat, deadlift, bench.
Yeah.
But I love the power aspect of Olympic weightlifting, right?
Yeah.
So actually, that brings up a good point. I forgot to say that, even before I went to medical school, I was just kind of doing lifting in the gym, like, most guys do, kind of 24-hour fitness, I don't know, just regular global gyms, right? Kind of lifting like a bodybuilder. I was subscribed to all these magazines like Men's Health and Muscle and Fitness, and just these stupid magazines that at this point I'm like, why did I ever listen to any of that? I did that so long in just a regular kind of 24-hour gym that I got bored of it. And like I said, this was before medical school, and that time period when I was kind of going through that boredom coincided with the Olympics on television. And I saw these people on TV doing, snatching like weight that I was only dreaming about bench pressing, right? Where a bench press is how many inches, right? Maximum, let's say foot and a half, moving 225 pounds. People on TV were snatching 300 pounds, moving it from the ground to 8 feet over their head in literally a second and a half.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is incredible. Why the hell am I at the gym doing bicep curls and bench press when there are people who can do things like this, So I essentially at that point, given that it coincided with this period of boredom that I had with just regular lifting, I was like, I'm going to teach myself this. So I kicked up YouTube and, just watched people do a whole bunch of clean and jerks. And I literally taught myself how to clean and jerk. And, Tyler, it was hideous. Like I actually have a video. I'm probably going to post it on my Instagram soon of me clean and jerking like 75 pounds back in the day. And just the technique was ugly. And you could tell that it was like it wasn't max effort, but you could tell it was difficult for me.
Yeah.
Right. And, this was me teaching myself how to clean and jerk. And I didn't even bother with a snatch. Like I saw that and I was like, that looks terrifying. Like I would die. I'm not doing that. So yeah, to go from that and to have videos of my ugly technique back then and just struggling with such little weight to, I don't know, hang cleaning 325 for two that I did the other day. Like to me, the difference there, especially given that we're all getting older, right? Like it's not like I'm getting younger, but to have that progress in my mind, I'm like, this is why I love Olympic weightlifting and this is why I love CrossFit. So, I'm definitely a huge fan of the observable, measurable, repeatable aspect of CrossFit. And I think that, the things that if you're open-minded and you're receptive and you're the type of person who always wants to learn, the things that CrossFit can teach you about life, about literally everything in life, you can't put a number on it. You can't limit it and say, oh, you can only learn this much stuff, because the fact that You can observe things in CrossFit, you can measure them and kind of be diligent and write it down. And then you can seek to either repeat that performance or beat that performance. Like that applies to everything in life. And I really think that it's something that if more people realize, they can benefit themselves in every other aspect of their lives.
I agree. Something that I say all the time is just, and this is not my quote, this is from a guy named T. Harv Eker. How you do anything is how you do everything.
I love that. I say it all the time to people.
Yeah, that's awesome. So yeah, if you can go into the gym every day and you can work hard, then that transfers to other areas of your life.
That tenacity, right? And I know you've heard of this, Tyler. I think, the biggest adaptation that happens to CrossFitters happens between the ears, I mean, how many times mid-workout do you feel like death? You're like, this workout sucks. Like, this is the absolute worst. Why am I here? Why did I choose this? And then you have those thoughts, you have those negative thoughts in your mind, but then 5, 10, 15 minutes later, you're done. You finish it. You essentially conquered something that you thought you couldn't do. And hell, the next time that you have that challenge, then the next workout that you do that is that difficult, your mind, your mindset, you're a little bit stronger. You're a little bit more capable of approaching this saying, I've been in this position before. I felt this despondent. I have felt this defeated, and I've made it through. I can make it through now. So yeah, I absolutely agree with that. How you do anything is how you do everything. And, I think that a lot of people, I don't know if you said that to other people, but there's some people you say that to and they don't understand. They're like, what does that even mean? And I'm like, what do you mean? What is it? It's the most beautiful quote ever. What are you talking about? So,
yeah, absolutely. I see it in my own life. Sometimes I'll do something mediocre and then I'll just do it, half-assed, and then I'll see something else and I go, oh, well, I just did that one halfway too. All right, well, I've got to work in this area. And then all of a sudden different areas get better. And it's just, man, that working on yourself, that's important.
Sure. And I'm sure as a coach, as an owner of a gym and a coach, I feel like it's even more applicable to you, because if you have that mindset, then every athlete that you're coaching benefits from that mindset that you have,
Absolutely. Yeah, that's a good way of looking at it.
You're not willing to let things slide, and you want better for your athletes than they may even want for themselves. So
yeah, I love that you have that mindset. And do you feel like that's something that you have gained over time, or is that kind of something you were born with?
What are we
just that mindset of how you do anything is how you do everything, and knowing that by working in one area of your life, you're really working on all areas of your life?
No, I wouldn't say that. So kind of growing up, my dad was always very motivational and very encouraging of kind of putting your head down and working and doing well in school. So I think that really kind of that the start of that mindset was from him, and kind of encouraging me to push hard, and then essentially seeing the results, right? So, whenever somebody wants you to do anything, or they're trying to convince you of anything, you don't just need that. You also need to be able to, actually apply what they're recommending. And then if you see the results from that, then it's like, it's a ball rolling downhill, you just get more and more momentum. So essentially, I think that, kind of growing up, it wasn't like I was, super confident or had my mindset in check. But as I became older, kind of did really well in high school, well enough that the College of Engineering accepted me. And then to me at that point, I was still, I had a little bit more of a developed mindset than I did when I was, let's say, in middle school. But at this point, I'm graduating high school. I'm like, wow, I'm about to go through the College of Engineering, and, my singular goal is to get through this, get good enough grades that I can go to medical school. But I don't know if I can do that, because, I think everybody, including myself, kind of felt like engineering was this challenge that they couldn't possibly overcome. So I think, that when I did overcome that and I graduated the College of Engineering at Michigan State with a really high GPA, much high enough that I got, a lot of invitations for interviews at many different medical schools. And I think that was definitely something that bolstered my confidence, bolstered my belief system. So as opposed to kind of having, I say this often, I think a lot of people have a lot of self-limiting beliefs, right? So, and it's unfortunate because you can't, there's absolutely nothing that you can achieve if you do not believe you can achieve it. So that's the first step, right? You have to first have some inkling in your brain, like, yeah, I can do this. It may require hard work, but I can do this. And so in my mind, kind of growing up, to have my self-limiting beliefs, specifically about education and school, knocked down one by one from doing well in high school, then doing well in the College of Engineering, and then, getting so many interviews for med school, and then going to med school and finishing that. And then, so that's all academic, right? But then, yeah, CrossFit had a huge, huge beneficial aspect, in that scenario, right? Where essentially, as we were speaking about earlier, like, listen, like, nobody, I don't care what your athletic background is, nobody comes into CrossFit and doesn't get their butt kicked. And if you do come into CrossFit and you're like, this is easy, you didn't push hard enough. You did not.
Exactly.
You essentially held yourself back, which is fine if that's how you want to go through your life, but you held yourself back. So in my mind, to start CrossFit in 2011 and to essentially have it through so many workouts over the years, kick my butt, and me, finish a workout and slowly get better and better. I still remember the day. So it was in this gym in Ohio called Project Lift, when I snatched, like, how, like, for everybody, snatching your body weight is a huge. So I remember, like, that day or kind of that week or whatever, I weighed about 205 pounds, and I put 205 pounds over my head, and I ran like a crazy, just yelling like a hysterical idiot, yelling, like running around the gym yelling, because that was a huge number for me, right? So that was a barrier. You could well enough say that was a mental barrier. That was something that in my head I was like, this is the most complicated, intricate movement in all of CrossFit. I am never going to be able to move my body weight above my head. And then boom, I do that. And then, that changes your brain a little bit, just a little bit. That, along with conquering workouts that you thought you couldn't do and that would kick your butt, and you come out and you're a little bit stronger because of it, and then hitting other milestones. The day I hit my 225 pound snatch, like, that's another huge thing for people, So I think that, when it comes to mindset is huge. It's something that a lot of people undervalue. I watch a lot of, you're probably aware of him, Gary Vee. Yeah. So I listen to a lot of Gary Vee, and just other people who are very positive and who don't let negativity, seep into their lives. And I think that's instrumental. You have to be able to surround yourself, whether that's in a, intimate kind of close fashion in terms of who you live with, or whether it's kind of the media that you consume, whether television or internet. Negativity is something that you have to be able to effectively combat if you want to slowly but surely improve yourself 1% every day. And, I think that it's something that a lot of people, if you sit down and have a heart-to-heart conversation with them about whether it's the gym or their health or their looks or, their aspirations, a lot of people, have negative thoughts about themselves. And, that does not play to their benefit at all. So, as a physician, I find myself in clinic, talking to patients and just trying to help them overcome. I know I'm not in the psych field, but I will absolutely try and help my patients overcome the negativity that they have in their head, because I don't think that they realize how cohesive the tie-in of their mental health is with their physical health.
Yeah.
I find that the more that I can convey to them that that is a fact, that is a certainty, that everything in the body is linked, and that they can't, let one area fail, and they can't, refuse to confront their mental health. The more I'm able to convince people of that, I think the more that they're able to benefit, with their overall health. Unfortunately, in this country, from what I've seen since medical school, since residency, since practices, there is a lot of there is this stigma against mental health,
Yeah.
which I have absolutely never understood, because if if you pull a muscle, you're able to say, okay, this muscle is pulled. This is an issue. I need to address it, in whatever fashion is most applicable. And in my mind, that muscle is part of you. So how come how come, so many people are able to say, okay, I need to address this. But then, when they have an issue with their mind, whether it's the way that they think, or the way that they respond to negativity, or the way that they respond to bad things happening in their lives, or the way that they address others, people aren't as willing to say, I have a problem here. I should address this. It's almost like, the ability to improve oneself, and the benefit of improving oneself is lost on individuals when it comes to their mental health, which I just don't. I've tried to understand people's resistance towards that, given all the self-help stuff that I endeavor to learn from and benefit from, and change my mindset and kind of change my life with. And it's difficult. It's difficult to try and I try and empathize, but I will be very forward in admitting to you that that's one thing that I struggle with. I don't understand why people cannot work in their best interest when it comes to their mental health. Why are you much more willing to endure sickness in any part of your body, your brain included, rather than address it, So
Absolutely. I agree. And I don't want to say that I understand mental health at all either, but, I do see it a lot on the ambulance. And it's interesting because there is a link, and I don't know what the link is between mental health and physical health.
Sure.
And I guess taking that back a little bit, when you said that you had snatched 205, the first thing that popped into my head was, what if you had done what most people do? And that's probably like, okay, I guess it's kind of a fluke, or no, it's not that good. No, you were excited about yourself. That's
Right.
good. There's a huge difference between being cocky and being confident. And hey, I snatched 205. I rock. Doesn't mean that I'm saying I'm better than other people. It just means, hey, I snatched 205 and I rock. And that's okay to do. That's great.
Sure. Yeah. And that all feeds back to the mindset that we were talking about earlier, right? Because it's fascinating, but what you just said, I never have that response in my head, but I've absolutely seen people have that, right? Like, they'll hit some number, and obviously this applies outside of the gym, right? Essentially, person X will make some achievement and they will write it off in their minds, like, that was a fluke. Like, what? Why would you why would you choose to take the negative assessment of that over the positive? So yeah, I think it's something that people need to work on, and you need to be able to address it to yourself and say, yeah, I need to work on this. And I really think, doesn't matter who we're talking about. Every single individual, in my opinion, is either dedicated to their self-improvement in all the ways that they see fit, or they're dedicated to kind of just believing that they are perfect as the way they are, when they're not really being cognizant of the fact that, you know, you're not really the way you are. You know, you will, if you're not focused and diligent and improving yourself, you are depreciating, you are
Yeah.
getting worse. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about this. So yeah, it's something that I wish I could help people more with. And, you know, I think some of it is on doctors and on therapists and on counselors, and the way that we approach that. So there's something in, you know, that some primary care doctors are aware of, called motivational interviewing. So if somebody comes in and says, hey, you know, doc, I really want to quit smoking, but, you know, I just can't do it. More often than not, you know, the doctor who's well versed in motivational interviewing will sit down and then find out, okay, you know, number one, why do you want to quit smoking? Number two, what are your motivations? What are the things that drive you from day to day? And essentially, we'll figure out ways to use that as leverage to help the person get over their hump, to give them a bigger incentive, a bigger drive, a bigger goal to stop smoking or whatever bad habit it is. So, you know, I definitely think that as a physician or counselor or therapist or whoever you are, you know, if you're in the business of talking to people and helping them get over these issues, you need to become, it's like I said earlier, right? This is something that we need to improve ourselves in terms of clinicians, and that burden doesn't fall on anyone else. So, you know, if your patient is not able to get over a hump, you know, in my opinion, that is as much an issue on your part as it is on theirs. Because, you know, if you're truly skilled and if you're good at your job, you should be able to, you know, where there's a will, there's a way, right? So find a way to help your patient get over that. And if that means slowly but surely addressing their mindset, so be it.
Yeah. Well, I really like that you have that perception and that, you know, you've chosen the route that you're going. This whole steady MD thing and being able to actually take time with a patient. I've been to doctors before, and let's even say chiropractors, physical therapists, and you go in and it's just, hey, what's wrong? Well, I hurt my shoulder. All right. Feel, touch, massage, see you later, come back if it still hurts. Well, no, I think we need to go a little bit deeper. And, you know, why do I have high cholesterol? I mean, I personally don't, but, you know, why do I have high cholesterol? Why is my blood pressure high? Why do I have low energy, low testosterone? You know, if you have somebody that can actually take the time and be with you, that's a game changer. Because honestly, from what I've seen, the whole healthcare industry is moving in the other direction of less time with patients, more money, more pills. That's from my point of view. That could be wrong.
No, I agree with you. I entirely agree with you. And I think, you know, that's an issue. And I think that, so I'm not somebody, I am not a physician who is embroiled in not tradition, so to speak, but kind of embroiled in this as a status quo, right? So yeah, in my opinion, you know, some doctors who may have been doing this for 20 or 30 years, in their head, they may be like, this is the way I've always done it. This is the way I'm going to continue to do it. I'm not going to invest any more time to try and find out what the true causative issue is. In my mind, you know, coming out of med school, I had always thought like, this is wrong. Like we need to dig deeper. We need to figure out exactly why, you know, patient X has whatever issues that they have, so that we can prevent them from having to be placed on a medication. So even, you know, with the patients who I see now, I am huge on lifestyle modification as opposed to pharmacological intervention. Now, this is totally, like, obviously this is, a physician needs to exercise good judgment, right? So if you come in, for example, your blood pressure is, I don't know, 190 over 80, no, 190 over 90. And, you know, I measured that on numerous occasions, so I know that it is true hypertension. It would be negligent of me to not put you on a medication. That just makes sense.
Absolutely.
But that does not mean, even if I put you on a med, that does not mean that I can't sit down with you and try and get to the bottom of things where even though we're putting you on a medication, we could quite potentially peel it back, taper it down in the months to come. That does not mean that kind of, if I have a patient who comes in and their blood pressure is high, but it isn't so high that I immediately snap to judgment and put them on a medication, that I can't sit down with them and kind of go through things and figure out, okay, how about we change this in your diet? How about we start doing more of this? How about we change this in your mindset? How about kind of this stressor that is kind of going on in your life? How about we address it? And essentially, hopefully prevents starting that patient on any medication. Because I think that too many, like most, I would definitely say most doctors are cognizant of this, but most patients, especially those who are in search of quote unquote the quick fix, seem to not be cognizant of the potential detrimental side effects of medications, right? Then, let's say let's say a narcotic. Okay, doc, I have this pain that won't go away. So instead of, asking your doctor to address the pain or the doctor trying to dig a little deeper, you're coming in and you're asking your doctor to put you on a narcotic. Okay, so now you take this narcotic pretty persistently, it helps with your pain. Guess what? Now you have constipation. So now what? Are we going to put you on Miralax that will relieve your constipation, but then, oh, hey, look, now, you have, I don't know, numbness and tingling in an extremity, or you have some other side effect that, unbeknownst to you, is because of the Miralax and it's because of the electrolyte abnormality, the electrolyte disturbance that you have from the Miralax and taking it persistently, and now you're having diarrhea. And so essentially we're just using one medication to cure or to treat the side effects of another medication, Why go down this hole? And obviously, I'm bringing up pretty benign side effects, but there are absolutely more troubling, concerning side effects that, in my opinion, any good doctor should want to prevent their patient from ever experiencing. Yeah, I think, that the benefit of something like SteadyMD, like you noted, is that I can spend more time with my patients, listening to them, hearing out their concerns, talking with them, kind of going back and forth on a plan, constructing a plan that, because ultimately this plan is something that they will utilize and they'll work with. So in my mind, I'm like, hey, listen, we would need to construct a plan that you're okay with, that something that I suggest and you reject. If you reject it, then I'll try and modify it, to address your concerns. And, hopefully we meet in the middle, we compromise. And if we're able to do that and you start doing this plan and we can fix some issue that you have that would have been a huge issue in the future, like let's say high blood pressure, and prevent you from getting on medications, So yeah, I think it's a huge thing that I found, a company like SteadyMD to work with and be a little more mindful about my patients and methodical and thoughtful. And I understand that the rest of healthcare isn't necessarily going that way, and it's a travesty. But hopefully things turn around and patients become more aware of potential issues.
Well, I think what it's going to take is people like you, that you care and you're making a change. And then podcasts like this where people are going to listen and go, oh, I need a doctor who actually listens to me and who can go through and take everything in a good direction. Which I guess moving on to like kind of other questions that I had, I do want to get your perspective on, you were in med school and you were doing Krav Maga and started into CrossFit. And now how does that all kind of play into, what do you talk about with people as far as nutrition goes? And we don't have to get super deep into working out, but, nutrition, lifestyle, exercise, all of that.
Sure. So I'll try and be short with each of those. But so with nutrition, I think the most common question that patients will ask, because of the state of the United States these days, what I mean by that is 2/3 of individuals are either obese or either overweight or obese.
Yeah.
Uh, so it's becoming a more prevalent problem, and with that, metabolic disorder, and with that, diabetes. So I think that weight and control of weight and nutrition is definitely a topic on the forefront of many patients' minds, and so they'll come to me and they'll ask, hey, what's the best diet? And the way that I often answer that is that there truly is none. There truly is no best diet, because the implication in saying that there is a best diet is that one thing, one perspective on a matter in this situation, nutrition, applies to everybody. And where can you say, where else in life can you say that one thing applies to everybody and everybody's the same? You can't do that. So it's the same thing with nutrition. When it comes to dietary changes, yes, I absolutely always encourage dietary changes, especially for those who eat a diet that is very consistent with processed foods and kind of junk food. But I still don't, you can't say there's one best diet. You have to be able to sit down with your patient and talk to them about kind of what kind of things that they enjoy eating, what kind of things they stay away from, what their mindset is relative to food, how they approach food in general, kind of their living situation, what temptations they have to face. You have to be able to sit down and essentially make a plan for each individual person that best suits them. Because if you don't do that, then you lose the most powerful thing in any dietary change, and that is adherence.
Yeah.
If you're not able to adhere to changes that you make in the long term, you will not, number one, you'll not achieve your goals, and any progress that you have made towards your goals will likely be reversed, will likely not stand the test of time. So that's how I approach nutrition. How I approach fitness is that each individual person should find something that works for them. So I don't have any kids, but I'm sure. Do you have kids?
Yeah, we've got 3 little boys.
Okay, so I'm sure, Tyler, that you've noticed that your kids are likely kind of instinctively drawn to one of many sports, or maybe a couple different sports amongst all sports and amongst all activities. So I essentially approach adults the same way. I'm like, hey, listen, you don't have to be a runner. You don't have to be a swimmer. You don't have to go to CrossFit. You don't have to go to martial arts or Krav Maga or do Pilates. You don't have to do any one thing. What you need to do is be willing to experiment, is be willing to put yourself out there and try. In the city, in Chicago, in downtown Chicago, I think I'm probably messing up the name, but I think they have something called Group Pass. So essentially, it is like a 10 ticket pass to many different activities and many different gyms. So with that, at least in my opinion, that affords somebody the ability to try many different training classes in many different activities and find something that works for them. Because, just like with nutrition, in my mind, if you could find something that works for you, if you could find something that you enjoy, you're going to keep doing that. There is going to be this inherent incentive to you to keep coming back to that and to use it to achieve your goals, and to use it to increase your fitness, and to use it to become healthier. I'll often tell patients who come to me and they're like, oh, what's the best type of workout to do to lose weight, to lose fat? I'm not, there was data last year in 2018 that essentially came out and stated, pretty kind of in an incontrovertible way that we don't lose fat in the gym. Like we simply don't. Workouts do not cause you to lose any measurable amount of weight as it pertains to fat. Workouts instead, in my opinion, and what I tell my patients is that you lose the fat in the kitchen, you lose the fat with changing your dietary habits. You gain muscle and you gain stamina and endurance and functional ability in the gym. So they have two different applications. It isn't that you can say to yourself, oh, I ate really bad yesterday, so I'm going to work out really hard in the gym today. One donut contains like 500, 600 calories. You got to be, if we're talking about a run, how long do you have to run to burn off that donut? Just one donut, or how long do you need to be in a CrossFit class to burn off one donut? So that's not something that's sustainable. The gym should be something that you're using with other objectives in mind entirely.
Yeah, I like that. I think we think along the same lines on all of that. Because, as far as nutrition goes, there's a guy named Stan Efferding. He's actually going to be on in a couple weeks. And he always says the compliance is the science. So you can follow his diet, which is the vertical diet, which is good. I mean, it's micronutrient dense and whole foods and all that. And sometimes keto works for people, and sometimes if it fits your macros works for people. But the compliance is what it is. You gotta comply to it. And then, within there's other things you need to think about. Are we getting enough micronutrients and that sort of thing?
So I like that, right? I have heard of the vertical diet, but I had not heard of him. But, I like that he brings up Cheetos and kind of other foods because I think that, you need to be able to structure that in. Have you ever heard of the Pareto principle?
No.
So the Pareto principle states that 20% of what you do in any venture is responsible for 80% of the results.
Okay, yeah.
80% of what you do is essentially worthless, is only responsible for 20% of results. So I think that is absolutely applicable to dietary changes too. Just because, you're being good and you're more conscious about your eating and you're kind of buckling down and eating more whole foods, the unprocessed, and staying away from junk, doesn't mean that you can't have a donut every once in a while. Doesn't mean that, when you're craving a candy bar, you can't have it. You need to essentially approach things, at least in my opinion, approach things intuitively, such that you don't have a very restrictive mindset with food, because that's not something that's sustainable in the long term. And as we just brought up, the Pareto principle states that the majority of your benefit, the majority of your gains, kind of will come from those changes that we just talked about. So I don't necessarily agree with telling anyone that they need to be 100% on point and 100% focused when it comes to nutrition at all times. And even with the gym, there are some days where I wake up and I'm like, I don't want to go to the gym today. I'm just not. No, it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
We're all human. We're not machines. We're human beings, and we have to be able to factor in the kind of the ebbs and flows of how we feel. So
yeah. Have you heard of James Fitzgerald? He won the first CrossFit Games at the ranch. So he owns OPEX Fitness. Mm-hmm. And I did their coach's certificate program. It's like a year and a half, and you go through nourishment and program design and lifestyle and all of that. And something that it was just, they kind of, I don't want to say they brushed over it, but something I learned a little and they didn't go super deep into it is just chewing your food. And there's not one person that I have, they've come to me and said, hey, I want to lose some body fat. Okay, cool. You can eat anything you want. Chew your food 25 times before you swallow. Every single one loses body fat because it's intuitive, right? You're eating like, hey, I'm actually full right now, so I'm going to be done. Or if you chew a donut 25 or 30 times, it tastes terrible. You can like feel the sugar and the oil like separate in your mouth. It's bad. So you don't want to eat more of it. So I don't know, just something that popped into my mind, just intuitive eating. I like that.
Yeah, that's very interesting. That's almost like being more mindful of your eating, right? Because I mean, I'm guilty of this myself, but I think so many people these days will eat in front of the TV, will
Oh
eat
yeah.
in front of their laptop, will eat in front of their phone. So essentially what you're doing is distracted eating. You're just chomping away. You're not thinking to yourself 25 bites. You're thinking to yourself 1, 2 bites, swallow. Rinse, wash, repeat, So yeah, I think, there's definitely huge benefit in mindful eating and getting people to change their habits slowly but surely.
So I was looking on your link tree. It had a link to YouTube, and you talk or you have some videos of intermittent fasting. Are you a fan of that?
I am. I'm a fan of that. That's what I personally use to this day. And yeah, I think so. Essentially, kind of my biggest window of eating is 8 hours. My smallest window is four. No, actually, my smallest window so far has been 1 hour. These days, I tend to hang out at kind of a 4 hour window, but yeah, I'm a huge fan of intermittent fasting, just because I think it fits. To be honest, I feel like if you lead a very busy life, intermittent fasting makes a lot of sense, and it kind of relieves you of the burden of having to eat every 4 hours or 5 hours and just put something in your mouth. Um, and I think one of the most fascinating things that most people who do intermittent fasting come to experience themselves is a decrease in the hormone ghrelin, which is responsible for a lot of our appetite. So yeah, I think intermittent fasting is applicable or can be applicable to a lot of people, and I only began doing it last year. I gave it a shot after hearing a lot about it and reading a lot about it, and I think initially I was resistant to the idea, but I think that the thought experiment, so to speak, that got me over it was somebody said to me like, hey, listen, think about it. The refrigerator was only truly invented in the 1900s. So if you want to think about human beings in the Paleolithic era and forward until the 1900s, um, we did not food was not always available for consumption. It simply wasn't, especially if you think back to the beginnings of humanity, right? So think about it. You're hunting, I don't know, a deer. You kill the deer, you skin it, you roast the meat, and you eat it. There will come a time where you are full, and you can't eat any more of it. And obviously, I'm sure that deer is probably not completely consumed. Um, so now, you're in a time before the refrigerator, way before, means of keeping that meat fresh. So what do? You leave it there. So flies, rodents consume it, and you have a full belly. And essentially you are able to survive the next couple days until you hunt and kill another animal. So with that being said, uh, one cannot simply say that, hey, listen, human beings have always had frequent access to food, because the fact that we have had and gone through infrequent access to food, and yet you and I are sitting here in 2019 talking, that means that our ancestors survived. That means that they didn't perish. They did not, they, despite going through cycles of feasting and famine and feasting and famine, they survived, and they were able to reproduce. They were able to pass on their genes, and we are here. So I think that when I listened to that argument and thought to myself, okay, this is interesting. Yeah, you can make the argument that their mortality back then wasn't as, I'm sorry, not their mortality, but their lifespan back then wasn't as long as ours today. Completely true.
Yeah.
But to act like that wasn't a multifaceted issue in and of itself, that was due to many different potential variables is to be kind of negligent of the potential of the truth there, which is that, intermittent fasting worked for human beings at one point in time. And, another argument that can be made is that everybody does intermittent fast. If you sleep for 8 hours or 7 or 8 hours, or I don't know, even 6 hours, you're fasting. You're breaking your fast with breakfast, break fast, right? Super early, but you're essentially you're fasting. So it's like I said, I was definitely resistant to the idea when I started, and it's something that as I've noted in my videos, it's something that I don't encourage anybody to pursue too aggressively. I think that, starting at a 10-hour eating window is good for most people, and then listening to your body, and slowly but surely, as you feel better and better, and as you feel a lack of hunger, you can shorten that down to 9 hours and 30 minutes, shorten it down to 9 hours, to 8 hours, to 7 hours, and then to however many hours you feel fits your day best. Just because I choose 4 hours for my day, obviously doesn't mean that that's what's best for you. So yeah, I'm a huge fan of it.
So if you don't eat for 20 hours, you don't lose all your gains?
I haven't found that to be the truth. So these days, so my maximum snatch is 255 pounds. My max clean and jerk is just over 315. I haven't tested it in a while, but I squat 450 pounds. I deadlift 520. I bench press over 300. And like I said, I've been doing this for a year and a half, 2 years, and I'm still PRing, right? I'm still adding numbers. So, I think that I think that when it comes to how this and other nutritional approaches affect the human body, we need to be very willing to, number one, understand that not only do we not know it all, we will never know it all. None of us are God. We can't. I don't care how much direct application of the scientific method we endeavor to perform as human beings. We need to be aware that there's a good chance that we'll never know it all. But yeah, as much as the application of the scientific method can reveal certain truths that were unknown before, for example, with intermittent fasting, or with other, I don't know, with other approaches to dietary changes, then so be it. But I think that ultimately people need to be very, very willing to experiment with themselves. You need to be open to the potential that you don't know it all, but that you are willing to try, that you are willing to put yourself out there and experiment and see what works for you. Like, I guarantee you, if I tried intermittent fasting and I was super weak or had a headache all day or was dizzy, guess what? I would have stopped it. But it works well for me, and I'm sure that there are people whom it does not work well for.
Yeah.
And you should not do it if that's the case, and you should find what works well for you. But to assume that any one person knows the best diet period, and they can tell you the little nugget of gold that you're missing, is to completely disregard your individuality.
Yeah. Out of curiosity, do you ever train in a fasted state?
Every single day.
Every day. Cool.
Yep. For the last year and a half, 2 years. Yep. I went to the gym this morning. The workout was like 15 minutes to establish a maximum snatch for the day. And then the Metcon was 3 rounds of 10 snatches at 115 pounds and 15 box jump overs for 3 rounds. And I did both of them fasted, and my snatch was 245 pounds today, and my maximum is 255, so 10 pounds under. And, my time in the workout was 3:54, I believe. So yeah, essentially, I think that's my biggest issue, right, with intermittent fasting. And when people question me on it and they don't understand, like, how am I still able to perform at the gym? And, I think that the the fault, the crux of that question, if you kind of step back and look at it, is this presumption of knowing the human body with 100% certainty, right? So like, wait, how are you able to do that? Essentially implies that that person truly feels that they know everything about the body. Like, hey, you should not be able to lift that heavy of weight without having a banana before, without having whatever food.
Yeah.
And then somebody does that, it blows their mind. And um, if that person is able to reflect, if they're an individual who's able to look back and actually consider their thoughts, hopefully that gets them to the point of realizing, damn, I don't know as much as I thought I knew. And maybe this isn't something that anybody will know for sure, but it seems to be working for Nick. So why shouldn't I give it at least a chance? Yeah, it may not sit well with my body. It may be amazing. You're never going to know until you try it. You have to be willing. I truly believe in the power of kind of N equals 1 experiments, where the sample size, it's just you. The genetic polymorphisms. So essentially what that means is the variance in so you probably heard that 99% of our DNA as human beings, we're mostly identical from a genetic standpoint. But there are subtle differences in everybody where you being lactose intolerant, you may not be you may not have the gut enzymes to be able to digest lactose, and I do. Does that mean that you have to get up you have to get on a megaphone and then be yelling out to everybody, hey, stop drinking milk, stop eating cheese? Like, no, you need to be able to understand that what works for you may not work for everybody, and that the only way that somebody else can know that is by being willing to experiment and try things, and then listening to their body and making the changes as needed.
Yeah. I'm a big data nut. I noticed you're wearing a Whoop. I also have a blood glucose tracker. So all day long, I know exactly what's going on. And, I've done really hard workouts well in ketosis, yet all of a sudden my blood sugar goes up to, 120. Like, well, how does that happen? Well, your liver has glycogen, so can you dig deep? Well, we all have ATP, we have liver glycogen. So I totally agree with you. Just people can kind of figure out what works for them. And
sure. Yeah, I didn't mention that earlier because I'm not trying to get too nerdy, but yeah, that's how people in the Paleolithic era who were essentially doing intermittent fasting by force, that's how we survived. We survived because our bodies are smarter than we will ever truly understand. And our ability to render sugar to have gluconeogenesis take place and have our brains fed and the parts of our body that are obligate glucose metabolizers fed. Those things are there. You just have to kind of stop. A lot of people I find really over question things, and really it all goes back to that mindset. Really just start doubting things, and even though they don't necessarily have a full understanding of what's going on, they presume they do. And I think that's a very dangerous mindset, because when you have doctors like me, or you have scientists who you talk to, and they will tell you, listen, we don't know it all. Listen, we don't, there are some things we don't know the answer to. So, you have certain members of society who by anyone's metric should know the answers to these things, but they don't know them. So then how are you going to assume that you know better than them and that you know everything? That doesn't make any sense to me. That doesn't, you have to be okay with understanding that you don't know everything, and that self-experimentation is absolutely key.
Yeah. Well, I 100% understand that I don't know everything. That's why I like talking to people like you, because if we can just start piecing it all together, if I can learn from people that are super knowledgeable like you, or talk with, a CrossFit Games athlete and try to pull in from their mindset, or read a book or a podcast or whatever, I feel like I can start piecing it together in my mind. But even then, it changes. Honestly, probably 5 years ago, I would have said eat meat and vegetables, nuts and seeds, some fruit, little starch, no sugar, and just say that's it. That's what we do. Well, then you learn, hey, it might be okay to have some carbohydrates during a workout, and it's okay to have a donut every once in a while. And yeah, it's just good stuff, man. I really like how you think.
Yeah, appreciate it. It's taken a while to get here, but like I said earlier, I don't think I'm gonna stay here forever. Like I'm just the type of person I always want to improve, whether it's mindset, ability to treat my patients, ability in the gym. I don't care. So yeah, but no, I genuinely appreciate that. And as you mentioned earlier, I think that's another huge thing, right? Like you're right. I love tracking things, right? I'm a data person, numbers, numbers, numbers. And I don't think everybody needs to be a data person, but you need to be able to find some mechanism of feedback,
Yeah.
some mechanism that you can use to assess yourself, whether it's how you feel about yourself, kind of in terms of, do you feel sick from trying something new in your diet or whatever? Doesn't matter. You need to find some mechanism of assessing yourself and use that to change whatever you want to change, and then reassess, and then figure out where you go from there. So, me and you, obviously we like numbers, but everybody isn't necessarily that way. So I get that.
Yeah. Yeah. They've got it, like you said earlier, measurable, observable, and repeatable. If you're sleeping 5 hours a night and you're just not getting healthier, maybe that means you need 6, 7. So just figuring that out. I actually have so many more questions that I want to ask you, but I don't want to take away your time. So many things popped into my head, like sleep. I wanted to kind of touch on that because you mentioned ghrelin, and I'm a firefighter, so I'm up terrible times of the night and circadian rhythm disturbance and all that, and so many other things. But maybe we can do this again and kind of jump
Sure.
into all that. But it's been an hour, and I definitely don't want to take your time.
Sure.
But
Yeah, I would love to come back. Let's we obviously have a method of communication, so we'll keep in touch, and I would definitely appreciate coming back, and talking to you more and finding out your perspective too, because I feel like anyone in your position has a very unique perspective, and I don't think that enough gym owners and enough CrossFit coaches truly understand the position that they are in this society, right? Where, like I said earlier, things like metabolic disorder, things like being overweight and obesity are becoming more and more prevalent. And, you have literally Greg Glassman has essentially assembled just a massive force of individuals who are combating this every single day on an individual basis with people. So I think the potential there, and I've said this before to people, I think that the potential for coaches to positively impact people's health is much more prevalent, much more dominant than any doctor can be. I mean, let's talk about, I don't know the size of your gym, but my old gym, CrossFit Grandview, would see 400-500 people come in every single day. Those are 400 or 500 people who, are becoming a little bit better than they were the day before. No doctor can see 400 or 500 people a day. That's not going to happen. So, I think that people like you, coaches, gym owners, are instrumental in kind of fixing the mess that we are in from a healthcare standpoint in this society.
oh, well, I appreciate that, and I'll take that and just continue to try to learn and put as much of that out to the community as we can, because that's all we can do is just
Absolutely.
get as much information as we can and try to transmit that to people.
Sure.
So how can people find you? Because honestly, your content is solid. I love it.
Sure. So yeah, my Instagram is the fittest doc. I will start working and seeing patients with SteadyMD in about a week here. So, if you just go to www.steadymd.com and search for me under I believe it's the missions and team button, but you can find me on that page. I see patients in Denver, Colorado too. So if you are in that area, you live in that area, and you're looking for a new physician, I am absolutely able to see you. So just reach out and we will make something happen.
That's awesome. Well, hey, I appreciate your time. I'll throw all of that in the show notes so that people can just quickly hop over to you. And Nick, I really appreciate your time. Thanks, man.
Yeah, absolutely. Pleasure talking to you, Tyler.
Yeah, have a good day.
You too. Bye-bye.